Okay, so the next thing is I mentioned FTP or file servers earlier, so rather than having to use File Manager, wherever it is there. So the first thing you need to do is download an FTP client, they're called. So I've got one open here. FileZilla is very good free open source software. You want the client, not the server, and you download that, install it, etc. And I've got it open here. So we want to be able to access our learn.vodesign server. So first thing we'll do is we'll go into Site Manager. Now you can see I've got a load of sites here for other things. We click on New Site. In the host, we're going to put learn.vodesign.co.uk. We don't need to set the port, the default one should be working for this. Just a note, this is using FTP, which isn't secure, but you can set up SFTP, which is secure, but we're not going to go into that. So to log into this, we don't want anonymous, we want normal, because it's password restricted. And the login is the same as it is for the cPanel. So just put the username in there and the password. And we click connect. And you can see here it's now connected. This is my local computer. On the right, this is all the information. These are the folders. You can see the public FTP, public HTML, and other things. But where you'll be doing most of your stuff is within public HTML. So we'll click into that, and you can see here there's just the CGI. That's a folder, you don't need that. We'll be uploading things at a later date. And there's the htaccess file, which deserves a quick note. This is a very important file for setting up redirections and sort of making your URLs clean. It's not a very good explanation, but it allows you to have sites where, we'll come on to this in a minute, you have slashes like that which look like they're folders. You can see here /support /bin, but in actual fact it's just directing it to a different part of the site. Again, we'll come on to this more advanced topic of discussion. Okay, so that's FTP. You can connect to it and then you can upload files. But one thing you can do, which is useful in a development situation, is you can set up a test server on your own computer. And software for this is very good. Is XAMPP. I'm not 100% sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, but that's how I do. So to get this, you just go onto the XAMPP website, look for XAMPP for Windows, and then you want to download it with the installer, run the installer, etc. Okay, so let's pretend you've done all that, and then you'll have the shortcut to the XAMPP control panel here. So you've opened it here, and you can see different services. There's Apache, which is the web server itself. There's MySQL, which is the database server that runs the database you could see us accessing before. FileZilla allows you to run FTP server, but we don't need to do that. Mercury allows you to run a mail server. I'm not 100% sure what Tomcat is, but I don't use it. But anyway, so if we click start on these two, you can see the services are running. So now what this has done is created a web server on our local computer. And we can access this by opening a new tab and going to 127.0.0.1, and this will take us into the XAMPP directory. You might be able to access it using localhost, but I've not got that set up on my computer. So you can see this is XAMPP. This is now running as a web server. We're accessing it through Chrome here. And the first thing to note here is we've got PHP MyAdmin here. I'll open that in a new tab, and when it loads, this is obviously very similar. This is a slightly older version than the one running on the server you saw earlier. If it loads properly, there we go. You can see now I've actually got some databases set up on here from work I've been doing in the past. So we'll have a look at the one that powers the VODesign website. And you can see now we've got tons of tables. And just for example, if we were to go into the sections one, you can see here now this is a table, much like an access table or any kind of table you can imagine. It's got the structure here. These are the fields which you can put in, etc. and then these are the entries in it which correspond to things on the website eventually. Okay, so the next thing is, how do we access this server in order to do stuff on it? And this is done in the htdocs folder. So of my E drive I've got it installed on, so I go to the examp folder, and then within the htdocs folder, this is where your stuff would be. Now you can see I've got it empty, but that's because what I've done is I've changed it, because I don't like having to go into examp htdocs, mainly because when I want to back up, I then have to back up all the examp files which I don't need. So what I've done is I've changed it, which I'll show you how to do in a second, to webdev, and the files are in here. If we go into the HTML folder where everything is, you can see the examp folder there, which is what we were viewing here. This folder corresponds to these pages in here. And if we, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to have a brief look at some software to edit files. So you can see the index. We won't look at that one actually. We'll go into examp. So the first file that's always accessed by a web server is index.html, index.php as PHP's language we'll be using. It's always index. That's just what gets accessed first, and then that starts the ball rolling in terms of your website. So you can see here my file preview. It's looking pretty horrible, although admittedly that's because it's quite crushed. But you can get software that will highlight the lines of code in order to make it easier and give you a lot of other tools. So a couple I use, first is Notepad++, which is not that simple anymore. There's a lot of powerful stuff in there and you can do a lot with it, but I use it more for just for quick editing things. So here's the website Notepad++, you can download it from here. And the other software I've been using more recently is Aptana, which is more of a development environment. So it'd be worth downloading that and have a look at it, because it's got a lot more tools and it's a bit more integrated with more tools than Notepad++. But anyway, so I'll have a quick look at looking at this. So once if you've downloaded and installed them both, so we'll have a look at Notepad++. You right click on index.php and it should put you a nice little thing in the context menu. As you can see here, it's highlighted the code. This is PHP code here, you can see with the two tags, the logical code. This is your HTML markup here. But just a quick look, if we go to language, it's now in language PHP. I can't remember, if you disable the formatter it'll then just look boring and plain and it'll be a pain to read. But with the language highlighting, it makes it much easier for you to look at. Okay, so that's a brief overview of that. I'll just do one last thing I said I was going to do, which is to show you how to change where your htdocs is. So if you go into your examp folder, you go into your Apache, then you go into configuration, then you get your httpd.conf. So I'm going to use Notepad++ to edit that. It doesn't highlight this very well, but if we scroll down, we can see the document root here. That would say e//examp/htdocs, but I've changed it to e/webdev/html. So if you do want to change that, and then you just have to stop and restart Apache using the control panel, which can take a few seconds. But once it's stopped, you then restart it. It's gone. Start it again. Then all the changes will make effect. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know.